The day my boyfriend got a brand new car, I got an eviction notice. And that was the moment I realized we were not building the same future. Let me explain. When Daniel and I met 3 years ago, he had nothing but ambition. No car, no stable income, just big dreams and bigger promises. He used to look at me and say, "Stay with me. When I make it, we make it." So I stayed. While he studied, I worked extra shifts. When his money ran low, I covered groceries. When tuition deadlines stressed him out, I found a way to help. I didn't see it as sacrifice. I saw it as partnership. Graduation day felt like our victory. I ironed his shirt that morning, packed his documents, even skipped my own shift to attend the ceremony. When his name was called, I screamed so loud my voice cracked. I was proud, so proud. But pride turns strange when reality hits you minutes later. Outside the venue, his family surrounded him. Cameras everywhere. Laughter. Celebration. Then his uncle stepped forward holding keys. Brand new car. White. Shiny. Wrapped with a red ribbon. Daniel froze. Then he shouted. Hugged everyone. Tears in his eyes. It was beautiful. Until I noticed something. No one mentioned the rent. No one mentioned the unpaid bills. And no one mentioned me. I stood there smiling for pictures, while in my purse sat an envelope I hadn't opened yet. Later that evening, back at our apartment, he dropped the car keys on the table like a trophy. "Hard work pays off," he said proudly. That's when I opened the envelope. 3 months, rent overdue. Final warning. My hands went cold. "Daniel, did you pay the landlord?" He looked confused. "I thought you handled it." Outside, there was a brand new car. Inside, there was a bill with my name on it. And in that moment, I understood something painful. He had graduated, but I was the one about to be homeless. I kept staring at the eviction notice. 3 months overdue. Late fees added. Final warning stamped in red ink. Meanwhile, Daniel was still smiling, still glowing from the celebration. "You're joking, right?" I asked quietly. He frowned. "About what?" "The rent." He looked genuinely confused for a second, then slightly annoyed. "I thought you were handling that. You're better with bills." Better with bills. That's what I had become. Not a partner, not a priority, just the one who handles things. "I paid last month," I said carefully. "You told me you'd cover the next one." He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Yeah, but I had graduation clearance fees." "You know that?" "No, I didn't." Because he never asked. He just assumed. Assumed I would fix it. Assumed I would sacrifice. Assumed I would carry the weight, quietly. Outside, neighbors were still congratulating him about the car. Inside, I was calculating how many extra shifts I'd need to avoid eviction. "Maybe we can use some of the gift money," I suggested softly. His expression changed instantly. "That's not smart," he said. "That money is for investments. I need to think long-term." Long-term. I almost laughed. "What about short-term?" I asked. "Like keeping a roof over our heads?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he grabbed the car keys from the table and spun them in his hand. "You're overreacting," he finally said. "Why are you killing the mood?" I just graduated. That sentence did something to me. Because suddenly I saw it clearly. His success was urgent. My stress was inconvenient. He walked into the bedroom, still scrolling through congratulatory messages. I stayed in the living room, holding the notice. In many African proverbs, they say, when one person is dancing and the other is carrying water, the music sounds different to each of them. He was dancing. I was carrying water. And that night, for the first time, I stopped feeling proud. I started feeling used. And once that feeling enters your heart, it doesn't leave quietly. That night, he fell asleep smiling. I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling. There's a certain kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels loud. Every unpaid bill felt louder than his celebration. Around 1 a.m., my phone buzzed. A reminder notification from my banking app. Low balance alert. I swallowed hard. For 3 years, I told myself we were building something. But builders don't ignore the foundation. They protect it. I got up quietly and walked to the living room. The car keys were still on the table. shiny, untouched, right beside the eviction notice. I picked up both. One symbolized achievement. The other symbolized reality. And somehow, reality had my name on it. I started thinking back. All the small moments I ignored. When he'd say, "You're better at managing money." When he'd say, "Can you just handle this one?" When he'd post online about self-made hustle. Self-made. That word suddenly felt insulting. Because if I stopped working tomorrow, everything would collapse. And deep down, I think he knew that. I sat on the couch and asked myself a question I had avoided for years. If he succeeds tomorrow, will he still need me? And the answer came quickly. No, not as a partner, only as support. And support roles don't get celebrated. They get replaced. That realization hurt more than the rent bill. Because money problems can be solved. But feeling invisible? That changes how you love someone. At 2:30 a.m., I opened my closet. Not to pack yet. Just to look. To imagine. Could I leave? Could I really walk away from 3 years? From promises? From plans? In many African stories, elders say, when the drumbeat changes, the dancer must adjust. The drumbeat had changed. And I was still dancing to old music. I closed the closet door. Went back to bed. But I didn't move closer to him like I usually did. I lay there quietly. And for the first time in 3 years, I started planning an exit. Not in anger. Not in revenge. But in clarity. And clarity is dangerous. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. The next morning, nothing looked different. The car was still outside. The rent notice was still on the table. Daniel was still celebrating online. But something inside me had changed. He came into the kitchen, smiling. "Babe, people are loving the car post. It already has 600 likes." I nodded. "Daniel, what's the plan for rent?" His smile faded slightly. "Why are you stuck on that?" "Because we're 3 months behind." He exhaled sharply. "I told you, I'll figure it out." "When?" "Soon." Soon. That word people use when they have no intention of acting. I looked at him carefully. "Would you have bought that car yourself if rent wasn't paid?" He frowned. "That's different." "No," I said softly. "It's not." Silence filled the room. Then he said the sentence that ended everything. "Why can't you just be happy for me?" I felt it then. The final break. Because I had been happy for him. For years. But he had never once carried my stress like I carried his. And in that moment, I understood something clearly. I was his support system, not his partner. That afternoon, while he went out to clear his head in his new car, I started packing. Quietly. Carefully. Without tears. Because when love turns into responsibility without respect, it's no longer love. It's survival. And I was done surviving. By evening, my suitcase was half full. Not because I owned a lot, but because I had already given so much of myself away. I folded my clothes slowly, took only what I bought, left behind what we shared. The couch? I paid most of it. The microwave? Mine. The curtains? Mine too. But I didn't take them. Because this wasn't about furniture. It was about peace. Before closing my suitcase, I sat at the small kitchen table. The car keys were still there. So was the eviction notice. 2 different realities. One shiny, one urgent. I took out a piece of paper. For a moment, I didn't know what to write. Anger would have been easy. Blame would have been loud. But I chose honesty. I wrote, "Congratulations on your graduation. I truly meant it when I said I was proud of you. But I can't keep building a future alone. You celebrated a car. I'm carrying eviction. We are not standing in the same place anymore. The rent is due Friday. I hope you handle it." I placed the note beside the keys. Not dramatic. Not cruel. Just clear. Then I picked up my suitcase. Walked to the door. Paused for a second. 3 years flashed through my mind. Then I opened the door and left without a word. Sometimes silence says everything. Daniel came home smiling. Music still playing in his car. Confidence still in his walk. "Babe," he called out casually. No answer. He tossed his keys on the table. And that's when he saw it. The note. At first, he probably thought it was nothing serious. Maybe a reminder. Maybe groceries. He read the first line, then the second. Then his face changed. The apartment felt different. Too quiet. He walked into the bedroom. Closet door open. Half the hangers empty. Bathroom shelf missing my things. That's when reality hit him. He grabbed his phone. One call. Declined. Another call. Declined. 5 missed calls. 10. He sent messages. Where are you? Are you serious right now? Stop playing. But I wasn't playing. For 3 years, I had been the steady one. The responsible one. The quiet fixer. Now he was alone in the silence he never noticed before. He looked at the eviction notice again. Probably for the first time. Really looked at it. The red letters. The deadline. Friday. Suddenly, the car outside didn't feel like a trophy anymore. It felt expensive. Heavy. Pointless. Because success is loud when things are good. But responsibility is louder when someone leaves. And for the first time since graduation, Daniel wasn't celebrating. He was calculating. And he realized something too late. The foundation had walked out. Friday came faster than Daniel expected. Calls to his parents didn't go the way he imagined. We already did our part, his father said. The car was your gift. Rent is your responsibility. Responsibility. The word he had avoided. He tried friends. Most congratulated him. None offered money. Because celebration is public. Struggle is private. By Thursday night, reality had settled in. The numbers didn't add up. Late fees. Utilities. 3 months behind. And for the first time, he understood what I had been carrying. The next morning, the car was gone. Not stolen. Sold. A quick sale. Lower price. Urgent need. The same car that brought cheers on graduation day. Left quietly, without applause. Meanwhile, I was in a small studio apartment across town. Nothing fancy. Just one room. One bed. One window. But it was peaceful. No unpaid bills hiding under celebration. No conversations that minimized my stress. I picked up extra shifts. Not because someone depended on me, but because I depended on myself. And strangely, I felt lighter. Sometimes, losing a relationship doesn't break you. It frees you. Daniel texted again that night. I didn't realize how much you were handling. I read it. I didn't reply. Because understanding after loss is different from understanding during love. And some lessons are expensive. He paid with a car. I paid with 3 years. But at least now, we both understood the cost. 3 months later, I saw him again. Not by accident. He came to my workplace. No car. No loud confidence. Just quiet humility. He looked thinner. Softer. Can we talk? He asked. We sat outside on a bench. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said, I didn't see it. I thought things were fine because you handled them. I nodded. That was the problem, I replied. I was handling everything. He looked down at his hands. I thought success meant leveling up fast, he said. I didn't realize I was leaving you behind. That sentence almost broke me. Because maybe he wasn't cruel. Maybe he was just immature. But immaturity still hurts. I was proud of you, I told him. I just needed you to stand beside me, not in front of me. Silence again. Then he asked quietly, can we try again? And that was the real test. Not anger. Not revenge. Not ego. Choice. I shook my head gently. I forgive you, I said. But I won't rebuild something that made me invisible. He nodded slowly. And for the first time, we both understood. Success without partnership is lonely. Love without responsibility is fragile. He got a car. I got clarity. And clarity drove me further than any vehicle ever could. Sometimes, walking away isn't quitting. It's graduating.